That was interesting. I learned a lot. I learned that you don't take bathroom breaks. If you got to go, you just go. I didn't realize that, so I'd stopped to go to the bathroom in a porta potty, and I remember standing up, getting out, and I couldn't move my legs.
All right, guys, episode 24 of the Showroom. We have the pride of Gilmore City, Iowa, near Pocahontas. Andrew Miller, thanks for being on, dude.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Doing good. Doing really good. Doing good.
What do you got on your socks?
Colorado socks. I've got some relatives in Colorado, and I think little UFOs and cactus, and I think I don't know what the other thing is, but yeah.
Is that a cow?
Might be a cow.
Cattle?
Yeah, might be cattle. Yeah, I always have colorful socks on. You'll never see me with a boring pair of socks.
Yeah, me too. I got like colorful socks. What was it like growing up in Gilmore City?
Oh man, it was the population's it's decreasing. My parents are still there. It's like probably 127 people.
Is that how many there are?
Yeah, it's small. We've got
So what is there?
we've got a Casey's. The nearest Walmart's about 45 minutes away. Nearest Hy-Vee's it's probably 25 minute drive. That's about it. There's it's a regular post office, so obviously bigger cities, your mail gets delivered to you. You have to go in to pick up your mail.
Yep.
And other than that, that's about it. It's very small. And then my high school, I went to Twin River Valley, which is it's in Bode, Iowa. So that was about a 30 to 35 minute drive. So that was always interesting.
Really?
Yeah. And then obviously back then our schools didn't close down because of bad roads or anything like that. So we just always had to figure it out, it was fun. And so it's kind of funny. We'd get up early in the morning, we'd pheasant hunt on the way to school. And then we'd have to park our cars with our guns and ammo at a nearby church and lock them up. So it's just really, really just small town atmosphere. It was fun. And I always joke, I can tell people I graduated in the top 10 of my class. We had 12 people in my graduating class, so normally I leave out that part. But it was just small. It was fun. It's everyone knows everyone, and as far as anything you do for fun was, we had quarries, so we'd swim a lot at the quarries, or we'd ride our bikes to the nearest town, and just have to be home by the time street.
The parents still back there?
Yeah, they're still there, and I joined the military, and when I got out of the military, I just wanted to get out of the small town living, and so I ended up coming down here, which has been with the company since 2000. I think it's 2013. So
yeah, you started out selling a new car, right?
Yeah. Sold that new car. It was kind of funny. I had not moved down here. I actually had sold. It's kind of different, small dealership. So you'd sell cars, but you also almost like recondition, detail, change oil. I did that for a couple of years before coming down here. And I came down and interviewed with Abe, and he had offered me the job, but I had not found a place to live. And a lot of people probably don't know this, but back then I drove a Grand Prix, and the first 2 nights I slept in the Tyson's parking lot, my Grand Prix, because it was a 3.5 hour commute, and I hadn't moved down here yet. And I think he hired me. I think he hired me on a Thursday, and I had started like right away, and it was midweek. I can't remember the exact day it was. But I didn't want to have to miss or get stuck in traffic. So actually, first 2 nights I slept in my Grand Prix over at Tyson's.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I was committed from day one. So, and then I eventually ended up moving down here.
Unbelievable.
Like a week later, ended up finding an apartment to just get in real quick and get down here, and been here ever since. So,
used car manager now at the Iowa's Used Car Super Center here at the GM campus. You guys are crushing it. You graduated high school and went right into the military?
Yeah. Yep. I graduated in 2009, and then I was deployed instantly. I was deployed in 2010 to 2011. So, it was
instantly. Did you go through basic or?
Yeah, I went through. So I did split. So I did basic my junior summer, and then came back, finished high school, and then got shipped out right away. So
infantry.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it was a 13 Fox, so we called in mortar rounds and airstrikes on the enemies was my MOS overseas. So it was fun, kept me on my toes, and I didn't really get to. A lot of my high school friends were obviously after graduation partying or going out and having fun or living the college life, and I went the military route instead and did that. And then I ended up getting out. And I got out actually right before I got with the company in 2013. And I always tell people it's funny because the car business is all I really know besides the military. I got with the company when I was young, and this is it. This is all. So.
And what drove you to want to get in the military? It was the Army, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, my grandpa was in the Army, and then my dad obviously was in the Army. He was stationed in Germany, and I just wanted to do something fun. I was a little bit of it too. Is I was kind of growing up in a small town. You're kind of the underdog a little bit if your parents didn't have if they weren't good at sports or you didn't have a name for yourself. So I was kind of always the underdog a little bit, and so I just wanted to do something that I could impact people's lives and kind of change and structure my life differently. And that was kind of the reason I wanted to join. So like I said, I joined right after high school and went over in Afghanistan right away. So
yeah, you were in the thick of it. I mean,
yeah. It was interesting. It's probably made me the person I am today, as far as just how I operate, and if I can't outsmart you, I'll outwork you is kind of my motto and how I operate. And I think a lot of that's just from my military background of getting in there and working hard and making a name for myself. So
if I remember right, you while you were over there, you ran the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a rucksack on too, or maybe not?
No.
Maybe you just ran it. Maybe you ran a marathon.
Yep.
You guys called it the Boston or something.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool. So obviously we were over there, so we couldn't qualify back home, nor would I have ever thought of qualifying back home. It's kind of a cool story, unique story. I was messing around. I knew they were Boston. They actually flew out the official Boston Marathon group to do it, and it was all set up, timed. It's on the website, and he was a major wheeling at the time. He was talking about it, and I said, I'm going to run it. And his wife, I think she was a health coach or some nature of that background. And he's like, Miller, you can't run a marathon without training. And I was young and full of myself. And I said, I'll run it. I'll run it and I'll finish it. And obviously I didn't have any training at all. And then it came around, they flew in and there were signups, and I was hoping that he had forgotten that I had said that I'd do it.
Yeah.
So he walked me over to sign up to do it. And so it was kind of funny. I signed up to do it. And then I guess I didn't realize what 26 miles and running in a circle would be. And overseas.
How big of circles were they?
So the funny
was that
part.
A mile? Was it?
No, it was a lot longer. I can't remember how many laps. It felt like forever. But we jumped in a truck, myself and my master sergeant, we jumped in a truck. Well, the trucks over there, they're Toyota Helix, but they're not in miles. They're in whatever it is overseas, and so he kind of tricked me, which probably helped as far as my mindset to do it, because I think we might have drove around twice, and maybe it was in kilometers, I don't know, but he's like, hey, that's it, that's 20. I was like, man, this is gonna be easy. Well, to come out, it wasn't in miles, so it was a lot further. So but I completed it. It took me, my goal, I wanted to do it under 5 hours, and I've completed it in 5 hours and 2 minutes. But it was it's probably the biggest accomplishment in my life, I'd say, as far as just the mindset and having to really do it. And
it's probably 120 degrees.
Yeah. You're running on loose gravel and rocks. I mean, you're not running on a paved street, and obviously the altitude's high. You're up in the mountains. And I'll never forget, the funniest part was, I remember seeing the finish line, and this is just like how crazy it really is. I remember seeing the finish line, and I said, I'm gonna sprint. I'm probably at 200 yards away from finishing. And I'm like, I'm gonna sprint the last 200 yards. So in my mind, I'm sprinting, and a guy had walked by and started clapping, and he was just walking normal speed. And he's like, hey man, keep it up, you're almost there. So I finished, and then I didn't know, after you finish a marathon, you're not supposed to stop right away, so I go to stop right at the finish line. And then they make you run like another quarter mile at a slower pace, which I couldn't go any slower because you'll pass out. And so I had looked over to my right, and there was probably, I don't know, a large group of guys and gals that had passed out when they came over the finish line, because you just stop and your body, obviously after 26.2 miles, it'll shut down. So that was interesting. I learned a lot. I learned that you don't take bathroom breaks. If you got to go, you just go. I didn't realize that, so I'd stopped to go to the bathroom in a porta potty, and I remember standing up, getting out, and I couldn't move my legs. And I think this was probably mile 18 or 19, and I couldn't move my legs. So a guy that was behind me came up and coached me through it and got my legs moving again. But I ended up finishing it, and then Major Wheeland, who was the guy that kind of talked me into doing it, he was at the finish line. So that was really cool. And then Colonel Carell, who was our colonel overseas, brought me, it's their military coins, and he had brought me a coin for running it, but no training. Like I said, we'd been in Afghanistan for a little bit. So, walking around in the terrain and stuff like that in mountains, hiking mountains, you got used to it a little bit, but it was, right. It's a whole different ball game, and I would never do it again. I just couldn't, there's no way I could do it. I was in a different mindset and had something to prove. So,
that'd be the last thing I think I'd want to do if I'm over there. You're fighting a war,
yep.
And then I'm going to go run a marathon. What are you doing?
Yeah. I at first I thought I bit off more than I could chew, but once again, I had to prove to him that I could do it, and it's, a lot of it's just obviously mindset of being able to do it, and obviously the agility and stuff like that is part of it too. But I don't know how I finished it. I look back at it now and I think about it quite often. It's just like how, I ran 4 or 6 miles yesterday and I was tired and took a nap afterwards. Like, how did I ever actually complete the marathon in Afghanistan up in the mountains? But it was cool. It was a big accomplishment.
You still maintain good friendships with the guys that you were over there with?
Oh yeah. We still talk quite a bit. We'll still get together quite often as we can. Obviously life gets busy, but we do a really good job at checking in. So those guys are, I'd do anything for those guys and they do it back, and we've kept that relationship, and it's, I was over there in 2011, so it's been years and years and years, but you get together and it feels like you never left that group. It's the same hoorah and joking around and messing around that it was the first time. So
the experiences that you went through with them.
Yeah.
The connection is just got to be so deep with those guys.
Oh gosh. Yeah. The connection and just, it's, you always hear people say that they'll take a bullet for you or, something like that. Or they'll come, they'll chase you out of a fire. They'll come running to you at a fire and get you out of there. And those guys would really do it, and that's hard to find, and so I cherish those relationships. And like I said, we do a good job maintaining those relationships and still talk and hang out when we can.
So you were there for, was it straight 2 years or were there different tours? Because you said you were over in Afghanistan for how long total, I guess?
It was a little over, it was like right around 13 months, a little over a year.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And it went quick. I think back then, I was 19 years old. I don't think I really knew what I was getting into at first. And so time went fast. They fed you when they could. And it was an experience, that's for sure. So
were you, how much of that time was that base and how much of it was out, clearing cities and whatever?
Yeah, a lot of people ask that. It kind of depends how you were set up. So we were in a small group, so a lot of times you'd go out and you'd do three days on and 4 days off, vice versa. Or if you're like on part of the like quick response team, obviously then you'd just go out on demand. But there was a lot of downtime, and that's where I found the love for working out. Truthfully, I wasn't a big workout guy in high school. I was 145 pounds. I was big into wrestling, but working out and conditioning wasn't really a thing in my high school. And over there, the downtime, there wasn't a lot to do obviously over there. So I would work out, and so I had a goal. I wanted to come home at like 170, 175 pounds, and gain some size and muscle while I'm over there and make something out of it. And that's what I did. So if we weren't busy over there, I was working out. When I say working out, there's times where I'd work out for 5, 6, 7 hours. There's just nothing else to do, to buy time. So that's kind of where my passion came for working out and staying in shape, actually. So
what did you sleep on, like a cot?
No, we had like the metal like shipping containers.
Yeah.
Those are what you lived in over there. And then it was you'd get creative, obviously, because there's 4 of us in one of those small Connex, you can call it, a shipping container. And so you would get creative how to try to split it up and have some privacy, but we did have actual mattresses. I don't know. They weren't Serta mattresses by any means, but they're hand-me-downs. It's
There's no sleep numbers.
no. It's the people that were there before you when they left. You took over, and then you would try to find stuff that from other huts that you could bring into your room to make it more feel like home. Like TVs. People would buy TVs. It's funny now I look back, but. And you didn't really even have much means for a TV, but people would buy a TV for like $300, $400, $500 back then just to have one in the room,
Wow.
And but you made like the beds. We would use like plywood and stuff like that to try to like shelter it off so that you would have a little bit of privacy. But that was it, and it would get hot in there, and then. Afghanistan was a lot like Iowa as far as weather goes. You'd have hot days and then cold days, and the temperature never made sense in those things at all. And then you'd share bathrooms and showers, which was just recycled water from everyone. I don't know the filtration system that they used, but it probably wasn't very good. So that's it was a different life. Like I said, it was very different, but it made you, when you got home, you really appreciated the small things, and you meet a lot of good locals over there, and it was it was experience. Yeah, a lot of good people over there. It's I always say it's a beautiful country. Just it's unfortunate that they're always trying to kill us. So, but
did you have some scary times while you're over there?
Yeah, we did. We would take they call it IDF, indirect fire. They didn't have really good aim, but they would shoot missiles or rockets into our living quarters, and so we'd have it's a siren that would pick it up on a radar, and so I'd try to give you enough time to take cover, but you just got so used to it that you'd put in your headphones and you'd sleep through it half the time. You wouldn't really even go take cover. If it was your time to go, it was your time to go, and
that's how you thought about it?
Yeah, nothing really. Yeah, time didn't really slow down the time over there when that happened. You would just, like I said, there was times I'd hear it, and I just put my headphones on so I could go back to sleep or keep listening to music, and that became the reality of it. And so it was, like I said, it was different. There was one time I tried to keep quiet on what was happening to my mom. Was a wreck when I was over there, obviously.
I bet.
Rightfully so. My dad, obviously, with the military background, he knew what could happen, and I'll never forget. I was talking to my mom, and obviously phone calls back home didn't happen very often. And I was talking to my mom on the phone, and we took indirect fire, and she could hear it in the background, obviously, with the explosions, and I had to let her go, and that was tough. That was tough. I wasn't able to call her back for a couple of days to let her know exactly what happened. So she was wondering for a couple of days if I was still there or not, and so that was interesting. And then you get leave when you're over there. You get to go home for 2 weeks. Some guys take it, some guys don't. I took it, and I surprised my mom at home, which was kind of cool. She had no idea I was coming, and that was a kind of a surreal moment. And I think about that often too. It's just like I went through a lot, but I didn't really know what I was going through. Where my mom, obviously, to this day, she went through it all. I went over there and did what I signed up for, and I don't think she didn't really sign up for it, so I think she got the worst end of it.
Perspective,
yeah.
So you showed up in Gilmore City, just opened the door at home, and
it was actually kind of funny. She was doing laundry, and I let my dad knew I was coming home. I want to make sure they were home. My luck, they were on vacation. I came home for 2 weeks and they're gone, but. So I came home and she opened the door and she walked past me. She was taking a laundry basket actually into the laundry room and looked at me and then walked about 2 more steps and then just froze. Gives me goosebumps, but, and then just obviously a lot of tears and lots of hugs. But that was hard. It's hard you go home for 2 weeks, and then you got to go back, you got to flip the switch. You got to go back and, and do what you're trained to do. And in that instance, you don't know if that's the last time, so I remember I just spent a lot of time with my parents, obviously. And, it was tough going back, and some guys make the decision not to, they'll do like a little 2-week mini vacation, They'll go to Germany or somewhere like that just because it's hard. It's really tough to go back. And,
Oh, I can't imagine.
you start to feel like you're, back to living the real life and family and friends and food. And then, next thing you're back on a plane. You're going back over. So, but yeah, it was cool. I'm glad I did it that way. And my mom, like I said, she was shocked, which was cool. It was a good moment, really good moment.
Was there a leader while you were over there that you looked up to a lot?
My Master Sergeant Lang, who is still one of my best friends. He took me under his wing. A lot of those guys, when I went over, they had been on multiple deployments. I think this was his third, fourth, or fifth deployment. It was my first, so he really, and I was one of the youngest guys, obviously, and so he kind of took me under his wing. He really looked out for me. And made sure that at all times I was protected, doing the right thing. And he was, when I talk about my overall experience and everything that I did in the military, I owe it all to him. I still talk to him.
Where does he live?
He lives over by Storm Lake.
Oh, he's an Iowa guy.
Yeah, yep. He's an Iowa guy. So
awesome.
He ended up retiring shortly after I got out. And I still talk to him quite a bit. It's like I said, he was kind of a dad to me on the military side of things. And, he taught me a lot on the military side, but on the personal side too.
Yeah.
He's always been a phone call away. And, through tough times, I've always been able to, pick up the phone and call him, and he'll answer at any time of the day or night, which is, that's hard to find. So,
yeah.
But, he's a great dude. He's great.
So you get back from the military and then you go. Is that when you went and started working at that car dealership?
Yeah. So it's back home. It's probably still like this. It's so small townish, but you found jobs in the newspaper. So I'd found this job in the newspaper. I didn't know what I was going to do when I got back. I think I took like a month off. I didn't try to find a job right away. I just got settled in, and so I looked in the newspaper, and it was that or Schwann's, driving the Schwann truck.
Oh.
And I was like,
God, do they still exist?
They still do. I think they still do
seen
back
those
home.
forever.
And so
I love the Schwann's truck.
I did, yeah, best ice cream. I grew up with the ice cream cones at my grandma's
Oh man,
house.
remember we got down to the bottom of the chocolate part of the
Yeah,
cone?
yeah, that was the
Good
best.
night.
That was the best part. So I grew up on those. So I was like, yeah, man, maybe I'll drive that. And I ended up deciding to work at the car dealership. And then I fell in love with it instantly. It was,
Yeah.
I'm a people person. I love just talking to people and get to know people. And, that's what you do in the car business. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I wanted to branch out and go somewhere bigger, and so that's what brought me here. And it's been great.
It's been great. Heck yeah. So you start selling new cars, and then you went to the desk at Westdale.
So I did. I sold
Subprime.
New car. Yep. Sold new car at Chevy. And then from there, I've had the opportunity to travel all around, which is kind of cool. But from there, I went to Buick with Josh Twin back in the day as an assistant finance manager.
That's right, it was. Yep.
And then I was there, and then I went to Dodge, took over at Dodge for subprime, the subprime director, and then we opened the Davenport
Then
store.
we opened Davenport, and Fox.
Yep. So Foxy and I went down there, and I was down there for almost a year exact, and then came back up, and that's when the subprime director spot at Chevy opened up.
That's right.
So I took that over. And did that, which was great, a lot of fun. And then ended up moving to the desk at Chevy, and then went to Corville, was down there for a year, and then moved over at Westdale and was out there for three and a half years until we closed that one down. So
yeah, Davenport. The story that comes to my mind.
Oh no,
is you staying the night at the former morgue. So
yep,
one of the radio stations. Their office is in a morgue.
Yep.
Former morgue.
Correct.
It's on Brady Street, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right on Brady.
Yep. Yeah. It's.
So tell everybody what you did, because this was a Dwyer and Michael thing.
Dwyer and Michael. Yep. So it was kind of cool. It was cool that they let me do it. I think it was a year or two previously to when I did it. They actually had like the Ghost Hunters, the TV show was there. They also stayed the night. So I don't even know how I got talked into this, to be honest with you, but.
It's not hard to talk to when you're doing things.
Yeah,
come on. There's a lot more stories that we're not going to share.
I can't share them on here. But so I got hooked up with that. I tried to get Derek Fox to stay with me, but he wouldn't do it, of course. So,
so for people not in the Quad Cities, Dwyer and Michael is like, they're the hot deal in the Quad Cities as far as morning radio.
Correct.
They do an amazing job. Kind of reminds me of Z102.9 in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? They do a great job. And so we used to do the partnership with them. They talked about, they do, what would they call the Foxy's Choices or something like that?
I don't remember what it was.
Then it was Whipple's Whips because Josh Whipple took over. But anyway, so so you commit to staying the night and filming like the whole night in the morning.
Yeah, I commit to staying. So I get there and we get Ashley gets the camera set up and then everyone leaves me. I remember just everyone, and I'm like, man, what did I really get myself into? So I the first couple hours I just walked around and tried to like get to know the area. And I had watched the Ghost Hunter show previously to kind of see where they went and if they had any interaction.
Where they were getting feedback from.
Yep. So I did that. And I mean, you heard weird noises all the time, and it would scare me. And I called it my safe spot. And I probably never even told anyone this because I try to act so tough sometimes, but I had like this corner where I could see I could see every direction of the building. And so if I got too scared, I'd stand in this corner and it was my safe corner. And so I stood there a lot, but so I ended up bunkering down in the basement. It's kind of where they had the most interaction when the ghost hunters came through. There's actually a room that they would you could see like check marks on the wall. Which is crazy, but they would stack bodies down there on the wall. And Dwyer and Michael had told me about this, and they would only go so high. So there's little marks of how high you could stack. So that's where I decided to set up shop. So I slept down there, tried to sleep. I couldn't. I closed my eyes and I just went back up. But so I spent a lot of time down there, and then and it's actually on video. It's on YouTube, but a lot of noises. And obviously, I didn't have like all the ghost hunters gadgets that they use. It was just myself and a camera. But I remember when we first got there, I did a walk around. I made sure all the doors would open, shut. Made sure no one was pulling a prank and just hiding in one of the rooms. So I opened a bathroom door when I first got there, and it opened easy, right? Just like normal bathroom door opens. I shut it. Later on in the video, I go to open this door, and it won't open. And I'm a decently strong guy, and I with my force, I'm trying to, and it won't open. And I remember grabbing the handle, and I felt the handle turn a little bit by itself, and the door just opened. And that's when there was a lot of curse words, but that was the scariest part. And so in that, I ended up finding out later on too, that bathroom, I think it was a custodian, one of the janitors, were cleaning up in there, and there's a mirror in there, and they saw someone behind them in that mirror, and they actually quit. They stopped cleaning that building. I guess they had a lot of trouble trying to find people to come in and clean it because there's always bad experiences, and. So I did that on Halloween, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was cool to get to know those guys, and I mean, they just let me free roam that building, and it's in Davenport, it's kind of like almost like a museum, everyone knows about the building and knows the history. And for those guys to let me just go in there and do that as an experience, it was fun. It was fun.
I don't know if fun's the word, but you want to call it that? You said fun a lot and things that maybe aren't as fun.
Yeah, it's all right when you have a safe corner. You just got to go to the safe corner. I just kept telling myself that. Go to the safe corner. But
then didn't you get on the radio the next day?
Yeah.
And talk to Dwyer and Michael live?
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
We need to post a link to the YouTube video of that because I remember you freaking out. I'm like, that door opened earlier. And then I think we flashed back to you opening the door earlier.
Yeah. We did. Yeah. Ashley had put together a good video because, like I said, when we first got there, I remember opening. It was so easy to open the first time, and the second time around it wasn't. And that's when I was like, okay, this is a little bit different than I thought it was going to be. And I just remember after that retracting back to my safe corner. So it was good though. We're going to swing to the right. This was a bathroom that was known to be pretty active. This building is 100+ years old, so it's a little bit hard to. Well, that door wasn't locked earlier. Hello? I don't know if you guys hear it sound like running water. And I was in that bathroom earlier. And it just locked. All right, that creeps me out.
Well, you've done a lot of fun, crazy, wild things in your life, and now you've settled down, kids.
Yep.
You and Jordan have been married how long now?
5 years. Yeah, 5 years.
And Parker's how old?
Parker just turned 5 as well, so which is kind of cool. Unique story, obviously, with him.
Yeah.
He was born super early, which was crazy. But he's doing good. You would never know it.
Yeah.
Still, I think to this date, he's still the smallest baby born at Mercy.
Is he really?
Yeah,
I knew that he was very.
Yeah,
how much did he weigh?
A little over 2 pounds. So normally in that case, they ship you to Iowa City, obviously, to the hospital there. But we just didn't have time. So it was surreal. Jordan had she wasn't feeling good, so I had taken her in. And I think at first we were going to St. Luke's. We were going to do the delivery at St. Luke's, but I ended up just driving to Mercy. I don't even know why. I don't think I knew the difference between hospitals, but
yeah,
we ended up getting there, and so we get there and they check her in, and they could obviously tell heart rate, blood pressure, everything seemed a little bit off. So they had said we're gonna give her a shot, steroid shot, just in case Parker comes out, that he has a chance. So they ended up giving her a shot, and then within seconds after that, she had a seizure, and then it was game on. It was emergency C-section, and I'll never forget it. They had me get my gown and shoe covers on, and I go to a room, and I'm sitting in there by myself, and I've been through a lot, but it's the scariest moment I've ever had. I'm sitting in there and I'm by myself, and everything's playing through your head, everything. And they had a chaplain from the hospital come in and talk to me.
They did.
Yeah, and kind of prep me for the worst. It's at that point it was it's nothing you guys did wrong. It's just that things happen, and kind of like I said, prep me for the worst case scenario. And he ended up Parker. He came out and he came out breathing, and he was fine. We spent 45 days there, and then which I'm glad we didn't know this at the time, but we ended up getting all the reports, and he had died twice. And
did he really?
Yeah, and we owe it to Mercy. The doctors, the nurses, the whole staff, they never at any point would we have known. It's because the NICU there is a little bit unique. It's they're in the room with you, right? So we'd have a lot of doctors and nurses come through throughout the night. There was a couple times where there's 5 to 6 to 8, 10 nurses and doctors in there, and specialists, and just their bedside manner and how calm they were. I would have never known. Obviously I knew that the situation wasn't as planned, but it went down that way, and it was like I said, we spent 45 days there and came home, and he's a little short, which is fine, but other than that, you would never know. And it was like I said, that was an experience itself. And the hardest part was Jordan she had woken up not knowing that she just delivered Parker, and to reverse it too, it was the doctor. They do the C-section. I was back there for that, which was a moment itself. But they're like, what's his name? Well, Jordan had talked about names, but it wasn't set in stone yet because it was so early.
It was early,
still.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm panicking. So I say Parker, not even knowing it. Like, I was like, man, Jordan, I hope to God Parker's okay, because that's the name I name. That's the name we end up naming, which is fine. I came up with the name Parker without her really saying okay to it, and then I had to explain to her that she had just delivered Parker. She had no idea.
No kidding.
No idea. So we spent 45 days there, and we came home after that, and I think when we came home, he was like 3.5 pounds, maybe 4 pounds. He was still really small. He fit in that when he was born. He fit in my hand. Just for that perspective, it was like a baby kitten. Is the size of how small he was. So, like a Mountain Dew bottle is bigger than him, which is crazy. So. But those guys, it's just the nursing staff and doctors and everything there. They just made you feel good about every situation, and it's, then obviously we had 2 more after that, and we went back there, and same great experience there. And
Saved his life, saved her life.
Yeah. She was, you know, her life was in danger, and so obviously so was Parker's, and you know, like I said, the outcome could have been a lot worse. You know, in the moment, it's looking back, it's just like, man, how did I make it through it? You know, so many thoughts go through your head when you're sitting in there by yourself.
Yeah.
And it was literally just me, and there's a brown trash can that I think I was talking to at the time, because I just had no one to talk to, you know, and I'm in this room, and there's no cell phone reception, you know, so I can't text, I can't call. So I just, for the first 20, 30, 40 minutes of it, I just had to get through it on my own, you know, and that was, but like I said, he's a blessing. He's healthy, and we call him the $1 million baby, because after all 45 days in the hospital and everything he went through, he's a $1 million baby. So
miracle.
He made the news a couple times. He doesn't know better yet that he was famous, but we'd go out to eat, and people would be like, "Hey, is that like the Parker Miller?" And you know, yep, that's him. And so it'll be cool to share that with him someday. You know, the videos and stuff like that. So
and so been with us since 13.
Yep.
Favorite car business story? I know, obviously, we worked together at Westdale.
Yeah. So I've got a couple. I've got. I was thinking about this today. I've got a. Tammy Roberts and I said this years ago that we should have started like a notebook with like funny things that happened. You know, because it's your friends and family sometimes don't believe the stories that you go home and tell. But I got 3 that stick to me, and they're Westdale. So Westdale's. The clientele we got out there was just always unique and different and fun. And the first one that I have, I think it was probably a Tuesday or Wednesday, and all of a sudden a truck is pulling in the lot, and it's like 6 o'clock. I just started getting ready to lock everything up, and I see a truck pulling through, and in the front of the truck, pushing a motorized wheelchair. The truck's just pushing a gal, and she's on this motorized wheelchair. And
with the bumper, pushing the wheelchair,
100% pushing the wheelchair, pushes her halfway into the lot, and then just goes out the back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I go out, obviously, and I talk to her, and super nice lady. And I find out that she was actually crossing the street to go to the bus stop right there, and her wheelchair had died, ran out of charge. So I said, okay, well, let's get you charged up. So I get it back to the shop, plug in an extension cord, and she's just sitting back there. She was super nice. Got her some water, and I just said, hey, I'm going to finish doing some things and cleaning up night end, and I'll come check on you, and I'll help you get over the bus stop. So like 30, 40 minutes goes by, and I get to the point where I'm about to, close up and be out of there. And I walk back there, and no charge. I'm like, man, what's happening? So I look, the extension cord doesn't work. So I had plugged her in for 40 minutes. The extension cord
didn't even give a charge.
Didn't even give a charge. So then I have to put I found another extension cord and plugged her in. And then in the meantime, she needed to go to the restroom. So I said, I can help you. I'll help you up. I'll walk you in there. And she had a blanket on, and it was cold. It was like, it's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 degrees. And so she had a blanket on her. And God bless her soul, I took her blanket off I was just going to help her walk to the bathroom. Well, she had no legs. So, that was interesting. I ended up getting her to the bathroom, and helped her as much as I could, obviously. And then got her some charge and got her over to the bus stop. So
she got on the way.
Still on the way. So every time I see one of those motorized wheelchairs, it always brings back that memory.
Yeah.
And then
good for you, man.
We had another one where we had a guy on the side of the building by one of the doors. He had buried himself with all of our landscaping rocks. And so a sales guy came up to me.
He had what? I don't know this one.
Oh yeah, he buried himself. It was
he was laying down.
So I can't even make this up, Gavin. He's covered all the way to his neck in these rocks. And so sales guys are like, hey, like there's this guy out here, and he's buried in our rocks. I'm like, okay. So I go out and I try to talk to this guy, and he's praying, right? Which is fine. God bless him. So he's out there praying, and I asked him nicely. I said, hey, like you got to go, like you're right by the door, and we had customers there. So you can imagine, right? They're all like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And people were across the street, we have Collins next door, and people were pulling in. And this guy, when he's doing his prayer, which is fine, but he's really loud about it, like really loud about it. So everyone sees this guy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get him to leave. I wasn't gonna like pick them up, right? So I ended up having to call. I locked that side door and just told our customers to stay away. But called Cedar Rapids Police Department, and then it took them probably 20 or 30 minutes to convince this guy to get out of there. And then so then we ended up having to call the rocks back in, but can't make it up. I only thing showing on this guy.
Kind of like people bury themselves in sand on the beach. He's buried in rock.
In rocks, in our landscaping rocks. So we ended up getting him out of there, and the other one that really comes to mind too, and this one's really bizarre, and so I get there, I'm there early. I don't know, it's probably 7:45, and the doors are unlocked, and this gal comes in, and she goes, "Hey, can I use your restroom?" And I said, "Sure," and it's, I don't, the bank across the street wasn't open yet, and so I just said, "Sure," I'll not a big deal, I'll let her. So she goes in there. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm getting ready for a save deal, just doing my normal routine, and some time goes by, and I'm like, God, I haven't seen this gal leave yet. So I'm like, I better check on her, right? Maybe she had a medical issue, I don't know. So I go knock on the door, and I'm like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she doesn't say anything, but I can hear running water. So I'm like, I knocked 2 more times, and then I was like, I'm gonna go in, just make sure she's okay. And I walk in, and she had grabbed a styrofoam cup from our water fountain, a drinking cup, and she was completely nude, all the way head to toe, completely nude, and she was bathing herself. So in the bathrooms, obviously, we have like a drain in the middle for if anything overflows. She was politely standing over that, but completely naked, head to toe, just pouring.
Showering in the bathroom.
Yeah, styrofoam cup, just showering. Cup. So I ended up having to ask her to leave, and then I ended up finding out she lived in the trees behind Westdale, those pine trees back there.
The line of pine trees.
Yep. So stories could go on, but those are 3 that like no one believes you. You can tell the world, and they're like, you made that up, and it's just you can't even make it up. But it was it's fun. I think that's half the fun in this business is the the stories and the customers, and you see the good, the bad, the ugly, and I've got customers that are so loyal to me. I've got Adam Devine, who now lives in Minnesota. He's bought so many cars from me, and now his daughters buy cars, and he ended up moving to Minnesota, and he had called me one night, and I could hear like hesitation in his voice, and him and Tori, they're saying they're the best people in the world, and he was scared to tell me they moved to Minnesota, and it's just he's a customer. He became a buddy, and it's almost family at this point. Once you sell someone, 5, 6 cars, start selling their kids, it's family, and so he was a little nervous to tell me that he'd moved to Minnesota.
Wow.
So it's. You see some crazy things, but then you also have those kind of customers that make it worth it. So,
well, there's a segment we do where we ask each other a couple random questions. Zach helps us put some questions together. So I'm going to start. How would you describe your personal style, Andrew?
Personal style. Well, I'm always the best looking guy in the group. So
that's right. You got the faux hawk going.
Got the faux
beautiful
hawk.
Beard.
Yep, that's right.
Do you put stuff in your beard?
Oh yeah,
it looks like it.
Yep. I'm stylish. I would say definitely. I'm hip. I'm stylish. That's what I am. I'm hip or stylish. So here we go. Gavin, what's the most oddly specific compliment you have ever received?
Ooh, the thing that comes to mind is it's not that odd, but it was odd because of the situation. When I was a sales manager for Sean Ritchie at Westdale back in 2010, I was working for him. We had a salesperson, female, that I was just sitting doing a one-on-one, So I'm just going through the leads and going through the traffic activity report with her. And then she just like stops and gazes at me. She's like, "You just have the prettiest eyes." I'm like, this one-on-one is over. We're not. She didn't last very long. That was weird.
I love it.
So the compliment itself wasn't that weird, but like in that situation, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Let's see. Can you make a prediction about yourself 1 year from today?
Ooh, 1 year from today. Yeah, I do have. I could. Yeah. I'll still be here, which is good. I've got goals. I want to do like a 5K, or I want to get more involved with working out. So within the next year, that's my goal. I'd like to do like a 5K, or even like one of those Ironman strong comp, just something.
Are you bulking right now, or are you cutting?
No, I'm cutting. I gotta look good for the summer, so I gotta look good with my shirt off. So I'm cutting right now. So
What does that consist of? Like, how did you change your diet? Like, obviously, you change your diet. But
Yeah, I do. I'm just not, normally I'm not a big cardio guy. So Richie's gotten me into running lately. So I've been doing a lot more running, obviously, and just more agility type workouts at the gym, and not just going in and trying to see how much weight I can press. And then obviously just eating healthy and watching my intake of what I put in my body. And obviously just the diet portion of things, just trying to, maintain and try to burn as many calories as I put in. And
good for you.
Just got to have that good summer body,
All right, go ahead. One more.
All right. What's your least favorite food to eat?
I like all food, man. I'm
kind of the same way.
I like all food, but I never got into Indian food because of the smell. I know there's a time for it, and a lot of people like the curry and all. I never got into that. Other than that, I'm all about food. I pretty much eat anything.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not a big Indian. You're right, though. I think, if it's got a weird smell, I always smell my food before I eat it. So that's probably one of the issues is I can't.
I tell you what I did. I found my wife on Facebook Marketplace, and actually not my wife. Rusty helped me find some Facebook Marketplace morels. The lady out in Ely. So I bought like 4 pounds of morels, and I dialed up, fried them up. Oh, they were amazing. Do you like morels?
No, I don't.
Cut them in half, soak them in water, salt water for a little while. Then you dry them out. I used egg, put some milk in the egg, stirred up, and then saltines.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
I got one of those flat griddles. Throw a stick of butter on there. A couple teaspoons of cooking oil to make sure that the butter doesn't turn brown. Mix it up. And then just fry them. Oh,
really?
Buddy.
All right, I'll try it.
You can have a little bit. I got some left over in the fridge at the house, but
yeah, I'll try it.
Oh, I'll do one more for you. One more for you here. What do we got? Oh gosh. What's the first thing you thought of this morning? I don't know why that's funny to me.
Oh,
What's the first thing that you thought of this morning?
Man, first thing I thought of this morning.
Do you wake up in the middle of the night and think about like work and things you can't control, but you're like bug you? I know I do.
Yeah, no, I do that. First thing I thought of this morning would have been, gosh, I took the kids to daycare this morning, so that was probably that. Trying to figure out how I'm gonna get all 3 of them ready, and Parker has to catch the bus at a certain time, and they're Ella, our middle, she's tough. She's extremely tough. So I just knew that this morning I had to get up with a clear agenda of how I'm going to get out the door in time with her.
Oh, sure.
Because she's the type where like I'll put her shoes on and then we'll go to leave and her shoes are off, and then she's a hoot. So that's probably the first thing I thought of this morning is like, man, how am I going to make it so Parker doesn't miss the bus? So I had to rile all 3 of them up and get them dressed and do their hair and get them out the door. So
I read something that I thought was really good. It's like, don't listen to your thoughts that exist in your head between the hours of like 2 and 5 a.m. Because I always have irrational thoughts.
Oh,
if I wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, and then I'm just like stewing about something.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
And just have these bad thoughts, and then you wake up and you're like, what was I doing?
Yeah, I do that quite a bit. And then you stay awake.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, I do that quite a bit. Just with weird stuff too. Sometimes work related, sometimes not.